Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bonds stands alone.
Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for 8. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining. And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
Yes. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Taproom Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Stacks. Stacks. Joined as always with my guy, Mr. Big Ballin' Ben Larson. Live and direct.
Sure.
Tuesday evening, trade deadline, July 30th. Came and went. Some teams did some things. Some teams didn't do some things. Some guys weren't even moved that we thought were going to get moved. We're going to get to it all tonight. We are being brought to you by the Sharps app, SHARPZ. Make sure to download it. Use promo code JORD517. It's free to download, free to use. Track your bets. Become a better. Sharps app. Now that we got that out of the way. Ben, how we doing tonight, man?
Doing well, man. Wish my team was one of the ones that did a little bit more than we'd hoped, but man, we're in like a fucking purgatory state right now. I don't know what's going on, but we're doing well, man. Tomorrow's hump day. We're living life, and it's down to the fucking summer baseball, and then on to the dog days in August, and then the push to the playoffs.
Yep. We're right about there. We're right about there. And, that's the great thing about the trade deadline. Teams beefing up. I thought the trade deadline went pretty according to plan. Like, I didn't think there was going to be any, like, crazy big moves. I didn't expect a lot of, we talked about it. I said Scooball wasn't going to get traded. I did think Garrett Crochet was
You thought Scooball was gonna get traded.
No, I said that.
You thought for a good long time.
I said there's a good possibility, but I said at the end of the day they're not going to trade him, dude. Because I said many times Detroit's not going to trade him because I listened to Detroit's broadcast. I listened to their radio broadcast, and they had the assistant GM on like 4 weeks ago, and he was and this is before Detroit got hot, and he said, and he the way he talked was that, they knew that the offense was going to be up and down this year because there was a lot of young guys. And so they didn't think that they were going to be as bad as they were necessarily, but it seemed like they were building more towards 2025, 2026 and beyond. So I didn't understand why they would move Scooball on that point. But I did say that, if an offer came by that you couldn't refuse, I mean, you got to think about it. Obviously that offer didn't come by, or else they would have pulled the trigger, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, with all that being said, like, I'm not shocked that Scooball didn't get traded. More shocked that Garrett Crochet didn't get traded, but we talked about this too. The second he came out with that demand that he wasn't going to pitch in the postseason without an extension, I mean, that killed it all.
Yep.
And
that and not being, a team player to, come off the bench and be a relief pitcher for a team that already has a good set of starters.
Yeah. So, he's stuck in Chicago, and he'll be there for the foreseeable future. Now, maybe he gets traded in the offseason. Who knows? But I understand why teams didn't want to offer an extension for a guy that, has never pitched a full season as a starter, often injured, never pitched in the postseason, and but I also understand it from his point of view too. Like, I understand he wants financial security, and it makes a ton of sense, especially for a guy that's often injured and having a career year.
Yeah.
So all power to him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and White Sox are gonna have to reevaluate some things. Obviously, they held on to Luis Robert as well, which which I also said he was not going to get traded.
Yeah, still a little shock for me. I still thought somebody was going to come up and offer at least close to what Chicago wanted.
Not with the struggles he was having. And obviously we
Yeah.
know what Luis Robert can be. The problem is that he's never played a full season and
Injury prone.
and
Yeah.
he's struggling. So it's like you don't want to give up a ton and then he continues to struggle or he gets hurt and then you're like, well, fuck, dude, we just gave up a shit ton for this guy. So I understand it from that point of view. I thought some teams did a lot of good. I thought some teams did a lot of questionable things. I still trying to understand what some teams were trying to do. The Giants, kind of one of them. They were kind of like this in-between team where, there was a lot of talk about maybe Snell gets moved and they hang on to Snell and really they only get rid of Jorge Soler, but they bring in Mark Canha, who's a free agent at the end of the year. And what's your thoughts, Ben? What's your thoughts on the Giants first and foremost? Because you're a Giants fan. You guys lose to the A's tonight, 5-2.
Yeah, I feel sorry for those people. Just the in-game -3.5 because that was sitting there for a while. But I don't know what to think with these Giants. I'm not too happy. I think it's another opportunity that Farhan kind of missed. You were in a place where the teams in your division all got better today. At least the teams that are. I mean, we're not necessarily talking about Colorado here. But the teams the relevant teams in your division all got better, and you stood pat. You get out of Soler's contract, which I understand in the reason why they got rid of him. But bringing in Kana to me just kind of seems like the poor man's Soler, and kind of makes me wonder what this team is doing. If you're not going to add and aren't going to push for a wild card spot, why aren't you selling? Why aren't you getting something that's going to help you next year for a pitcher who's likely not going to be back in San Francisco next year, unless there's some conversations that Snell and Zadi have had. I think you wasted a huge opportunity there. You had opportunities to get a better DH, and that didn't come in.
Well, I don't think there was a
You
lot
now
of.
are sitting on.
I don't think there was a lot of bats available, dude. Like, Jazz is probably the best bat, and like the dude he wasn't even having a good year. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, that's the thing is like, a lot of guys that were rumored to be traded didn't even get moved. Luis Rengifo didn't get moved from the Angels. Taylor Ward didn't get moved from the Angels. Brent Rooker stays with the A's. Ryan McMahon stays with the Rockies. Like, a lot of these guys that were rumored to be on the trade block did not get dealt, which tells me one thing, or it tells me a couple things. Either A, these teams didn't feel that they were getting the necessarily value back, and thus they're holding on to him, especially for a guy like Brett Rooker who's under club control for a few more years, right?
Yeah.
And he was like scorching hot, and I think you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I was like, dude, Brent Rooker's value is just like sky high right now. Like, I can't even imagine the return they're gonna get. And the Phillies were rumored to be in on him, and then the Phillies, they pivoted and they went to Austin Hayes, who cost them a lot less. They only gave up fucking Sir Anthony Dominguez and Poche. And so in my opinion, I think that a lot of guys on the block just like I just don't think teams were, and Luis Robert too. I don't think that teams were like, you know what, I'm not going to give up a guy just because we suck this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's always next year. And the A's did come out and they did say that you know, they were reluctant to trade Brent Rooker because they do think that they can compete for a playoff spot next year. That they think they have the roster, and I mean they're the hottest team in baseball aside from the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
So, you know, power to them for doing that. But yeah, I agree with you as far as like trading Blake Snell, like, and I feel the same way about the Blue Jays too. Is like, you know, the Blue Jays have Vlad Guerrero Jr., which probably could have got him a fucking haul, dude, and instead they hold on to him. You know what I mean? And now it's like, you know, they trade Yusei Kikuchi, they trade Nate Pearson, they trade a lot of these smaller pieces and they didn't get a ton in return. It's like, okay, so what's the direction? What direction is that team heading in?
Yeah.
They hang on to Chris Bassett. They hang on to Kevin Gausman.
Yep.
Oh shit, I just broke my pen. You know, there's just teams that I agree with you. Like, you know, they didn't really pick a direction and kind of just like, stood pat and
yeah. Look what the Dodgers did. Look what the Padres did. Like even the Diamondbacks added.
Why I think the Padres been absolutely crushed the deadline, dude. Absolutely slaughtered.
To be honest, I think the Dodgers did too. I think the Dodgers have more holes than they filled today, but I think they got a lot of good pieces. So I mean I hear you. I think you're absolutely right. I think San Diego with their bullpen now is just a fucking monster. If they can kind of get over these Jekyll and Hyde woes, which a lot of it was their relief pitching, I think they have the opportunity to do very well. But they gotta stop this kind of up and down offense that they're doing as well.
I mean,
where they're hot
right
for
now.
5 games and
They've been hot for like 2 weeks, but
no, I know, but then they're cold for.
I mean,
are they going to go cold for 2 weeks
but
now?
that's the thing with baseball. Baseball is a lot of ebbs and flows, dude.
Yeah.
But the one thing that if you are consistent with your bullpen or your starting rotation, and if you're consistent with both, I mean you're really set up for success.
Mhm.
But the thing that I love that the Padres did is AJ Preller. He was like he scoured the